Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the part two of the Paul Brown Show with my special guest, Mr. John Barnett. Mr. Barnett, okay, we're going to get back and start talking. I know we talked about your organization, True Healing Under God. What do you expect from the community? I mean, when you're out there, do you expect more involvement from?
Well, I've been doing it so long, a lot of times by myself. A lot of times when I go into a city, like on yesterday, we went to Beaufort. I don't know anyone in Beaufort, North Carolina, other than the family that I'm connected with. I just encouraged the vocal Aunt Mamie, as we call her, to get some men to come out. And so we had about 20 people there, which was a very successful press conference. You don't need a lot of people for a press conference. But when I'm doing rallies, when I'm saying the word rally, Charlotte, it's imperative that they show up. We were blessed to, I think, break an attendance record at Marshall Park for Trayvon Martin. We had over 1,000, 1,200 people at the rally. And so it's very important that when we have a rally, because there's 3 different phases in civil rights. You got press conference, which basically myself and the victim, a couple family members, maybe a lawyer, to announce what's going on and what we're about to do. The second one is a rally. A rally is to, hey, we're at a church on Saturday morning. It might be Chappelle Memorial Baptist. Shout out to Norman Carey, Pastor Carey, who always allows me to use this church. But we'll say Saturday, 12 noon, we're having a rally. And that rally brings everyone together to highlight different things going on in the community, but to get everybody in that church for a common goal. So if we have a Trayvon Martin press conference, we're going to have a press conference to announce that we're going to have a rally at Chappelle Memorial Baptist, for example. Everyone comes, and then we give them marching orders that day. Okay. That on December 11th, quote unquote, we're going to go to court dressed in black to Officer Carrick's court date, which is what I want Charlotte to do. Okay. And so that's kind of the phase that we go into. Yesterday we had a press conference in Beaufort, North Carolina. I announced a march, but I'm going to visit local black churches in Beaufort in the next 2 months and then initiate that march, in or around the time of we want to look at Dr. King's birthday, but I haven't given that date yet to the city. I never let no wise general tells the opposing party exactly what they're going to do next. Correct. And so that's the phases. And so yes, very important that when we say rally, we definitely encourage them to come and definitely march. But I guess in this day and time, 2014, people don't really march the way they used to. We still have some Trayvon Martin rallies, some Michael Brown marches. I think mobilization and getting them inside of a church. I love rallies because I'm able to get them inside that building. They're not worried about who's looking on the outside. Police might be on the outside. We're able to get them in the house and talk to them about what needs to be done. I think that's where some of Malcolm X and Dr. King's most powerful speeches came from a church. You see them speaking at a podium. Correct. And that was some of their most powerful speeches.
The positive impact you give to the community, it has to play a key motion in you going to other areas. How does that impact you as an individual, knowing that what you're doing is impacting that community?
It makes a big impact, and it motivates me a lot. I went to Hartwell, Georgia. I think I gave you that story. Correct. And in Hartwell, Georgia, this guy named Jimmy Lee Blackwell was beat by the police with a nightstick, and the officer beat his left eye out. I went to the city about a week after he got beat by the police. Keep in mind the Greenville Memorial Hospital had to remove his left eye. And it was all for a warrant for some type of, I believe, traffic ticket. And he got his left eye beat out. So when I went to the city the next week, there were about 700 people, about 600 people waiting on me to get there. And so I had to go into the doors, not knowing exactly what to do. But once I got inside, I always tell people, crack the door and let God in. And so we were able to give some marching orders that day. We staged a press conference. We had another march of 1,000 people. And in about a year, he won a lawsuit. We got a lawyer in place for him. And we sued the city of Hartwell, Georgia. So it's moments like that's unforgettable. But it also motivates me to just go to another city, because it appears that Hartwell, Georgia is no different than Charlotte, North Carolina. Correct. Or Gastonia, or Clover, Rock Hill. It seems as though, there's a Trayvon Martin in every city, and there's a George Zimmerman in every city. And our goal is to identify with that and know that the same thing that happened in Charlotte with Jonathan Farrell can happen in another city as well.
We look at the news and we find out that the individuals that commit like the George Zimmerman, they get the financial backing from individuals. Why is that?
I know that's always been disturbing to me. We look at just going back to the Ferguson case. Mr. Darren Wilson, I believe, Darren something. Yeah. He has $460,000 in his GoFundMe account. So it's not a mystery that he resigned last week, 2 or 3 days prior to the verdict coming out. So even if he resigned, he's got $500,000 in the bank to travel or do whatever you want to do, go to the beach with the blood of Michael Brown on his hands. So yes, they do fund companies, corporations, because they see it one-sided. And they can say the same thing about us. The Brown family has a GoFundMe account as well. So they have, I think, close to the same amount, if not more. But I think that it's everyone's prerogative to believe. You might like pineapples, and I might like oranges. And when I received my faith in the military, me and the guy that encouraged me to get saved, so to speak, we had a debate about a scripture. Now, I'm young, I'm trying to tell him, and he's the one guided me to Christ. And so he stopped the debate of this scripture that we was talking about. And he said, John, you know what, I'm gonna tell you something. He said, we might not be able to always see eye to eye, but we can always see heart to heart.
Correct.
And so I think that I might not see eye to eye with the supporters of the officer, may not see eye to eye with the supporters of Officer Carrick, how someone can shoot someone 10 times. But at least at the end of the day, hopefully, if we get to that bridge, we can see heart to heart.
Looking at the Michael Brown case, at what point did you kind of get an idea that the grand jury had already made their decision of not to indict? No.
I actually felt it when I got to Ferguson. As I told you earlier, I attended the funeral. And so sometimes, your spirit can pick up things. So just going to Ferguson, my spirit was uneasy. I felt as though there was something going on.
Correct.
And my grandmother used to tell me if something looks like a snake, something crawls like a snake, and at the end of the day, it might be a snake. So with that particular verdict, I think it was very disturbing because it's amazing because black and white people believe though he should not have been shot. And that's a very challenging setting. And so hopefully, we'll get past this. It's gonna take some time.
Correct.
But there was people contacted me, Facebook, email, and they were crying. Mothers with sons was crying. My family members, it's like disbelief.
Disbelief. But in kind of like in reality, they had a good feeling that was going to happen.
Yeah, as I told you, yeah.
It kind of like, it took kind of like the time frame that it took for them to actually, they kept on holding off. It was kind of like, okay, they already decided now let's prepare for what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I have an attorney friend, and he always told me that if the jury ever deliberates for a long time, it either can be good or it can be bad. But while they're deliberating for a long period of time, someone's in there not agreeing, and that's what the long time frame comes from. And I was surprised we had 4 blacks on that particular grand jury. I think the rest were white. And the shocking thing to me, I think, was that I think it was 3 black females and 1 black male. The shocking thing to me is that 1 black mother could not identify with the pain of Miss Brown. And I just wish that 1 could have held out. Because we just had 1, and I think we'd be in a better, position right now.
But if you were on that jury, what could they have said that would not have made you possibly be able to think that there's probable causes to indict?
Well, one of the things with that particular case in particular, you know, the officers spoke to, you know, that particular jury for 4 hours. So he gave his whole spiel for 4 hours. The only person that couldn't talk for 4 hours was Michael Brown. Mm-hmm. The only person that couldn't talk during Trayvon Martin's trial is Trayvon Martin. But I believe, as Reverend Sharpton would always say, he says, innocent blood cries from the grave. Might not know exactly who shot Dr. K. We still don't know who shot Biggie and Tupac. Might not know what happened to JFK in that grassy knoll. But the truth of the matter is, he said, innocent blood cries from the grave. And I strongly believe that if someone is killed, unjustifiable, they will run around aimlessly like what George Zimmerman is doing right now. And I think Bishop Kevin Long gave the perfect sermon.
On the other side of that ring, and you look at your opponent, even if you know that you may have an edge on them or not, you will still have that nervousness. You're still going, and I tell some of the kids that you will be nervous to the point of being downright scared. and that's acceptable. You know, you want to have that so that, but once that bell rings and you get in there and you get hit and you start moving around and doing your thing, then everything kind of falls back in place, your training that you've done and everything. It's very exciting and rewarding when I look at a few things during the competition. I look at how they're handling themselves, what they're doing and so forth, especially when it's their first match. It's not about winning, it's not about losing and stuff. It's about going in there, giving it your best at that particular time. We want to see how you do. All bouts, hopefully you can win all your bouts, but the bouts that you win, just as well as the ones that you lose, it should be a learning factor to you on what you need to do to proceed to the next level at the next time that you do that.
When they're in that ring, do you normally try to pit them against someone else who has similar experience, or does that matter? I know the weight class should be kind of the same, but as far as that experience, how do you?
Yes, they have to be matched up according to USA boxing rules, which is we have an age group. We have 8, 9, and 10. Correct. So the kids will box each other within 8, 9, and 10, staying at the same level. Their weight class for juniors is 5 pounds up or down that they can be. As far as experience, we want to stay within experience level. That's why with USA Boxing, we have a boxing passport which shows and indicates how many bouts you've had. So if I'm taking a new kid that's 8 years old and he's 97 pounds, I will match him up accordingly to that. And then I will also direct to looking at how many bouts he's had, how many times he's performed. With a new kid, I want to stay within someone that has a new kid also, but sometimes those may be hard to do. So the kid may have 1 or 2 bouts already. That goes back to the gym. If I feel that the kid is strong enough to handle that type of boxer, if he has 1 or 2 bouts, then I'll go ahead and let it go. But if I know that it's someone that's a little bit more stronger, maybe the same age, same weight and everything, but some kids are just, a little stronger than others. So if I feel that he may not be able to handle that, then I'm not going to let him go in there. Because one of our first primary things with amateur boxer is safety. That's the big thing. I've been fussed at and everything because of stopping a fight that we have with matches and so forth. But if I'm sitting there and I can see that you're in trouble and something is about to happen to you, instead of having the doctor or the ambulance carry you out, I'd rather walk you back down the stairs, in the safety thing. And like I said, some of the guys that have been hit and, to the point of being dazed, once I run up those stairs and I stop that competition, then, then they look at me like, Coach, why did you stop the fight? I was doing good. And they steady staggering across the floor while I'm saying, come on out, champ. We'll try this another day. It's like, Coach, why did you stop the fight? And it's like, come on out. I don't even get into it with them.
Mm-hmm. How does that ego play a part in that being in that ring? Because I know it has to be kind of like just like you said, when you're losing, you probably feel like you're winning, but you know,
Correct. And it does, and everything reflects back to your training habits, things that you do in the gym, outside of the gym, because everything actually goes hand in hand. It's kind of hard to live one type of life outside of the ring than what you do inside of the ring. The way that you handle yourself and carry yourself has to somewhat justify each other. That's why when your ego comes in, if you trained in the gym going through that, then it's going to also come out when you actually performing in the ring. So when we look at the egos and your attitude and your personality on how you take things, you know, or if you lost the fight, but yet you feel like, oh, I won it, you know, I got it stolen from me, or this and that. It's the way that we have to grab that and take that and mold it, because the way they display that in a competition is somewhat the way they will display it in the gym while you're training. So it's our first job to try to nip that in the bud if it is something negative that we have to do when we're in the gym.
To a lot of the kids that you have been involved with, you're a role model. How does that make you feel, and what impact does that play in them future on in life?
I'm glad you asked that question.